turn to your neighbor, and what I want you to do is describe to your neighbor the weirdest friend you have or have had in your life thus far. So turn to your neighbor, and just the weird, I don't know how you describe weird, but however you describe the weirdest friend you've had. Go. Giving you a few minutes to do this.
He's so weird.
I know these three really weird people.
He's like a good kid. I'll find you. And his wife's pretty good
What? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. No! Mike's good now?
All right, 10 more seconds, and I'm going to just really get into just the meat and potatoes. Weirdest friend.
Heart rate is 65.
That's really slow. That can't be.
All right. So, now that you've thought about a friend you have that might be weird or different, maybe that friend has different interests, different things like that. I'm going to tell you a little story about a friend I had that was really weird. Or you're going to see how weird it is. Can you guys not mess with this chair? Because it's, here, you want me to help you? Yeah, here, let me help you. There we go. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Sorry, it would just distract me, and then this is good for no one. So, okay, weirdest friend that I had. So when I was younger, when I was about knee high, I don't know, this high. When I was about this high, I had this friend. His name was Michael, and we would hang out literally like all the time. And I would hang out with Michael. We would talk all the time. He that game you guys played, he knew like everything about me. I knew everything about him. And how Michael and I met, I really don't fully remember. That's how it just was that good of a friendship where you're like, I don't even remember how we met. We're just best friends. But I sort of remember. I used to watch this show called Barney. Does anyone know about Barney? Like Barney? The purple dinosaur? Okay. The purple dinosaur. So I watched, you guys, I was an avid Barney watcher. Like die-hard Barney fan. The OG Barney. Like I'm old, the OG Barney. And so, anyway, long story short, Michael and I bonded over Barney. That was really kind of how I would say, I don't remember how we met, but it was like that really burst our friendship. We had this connection over Barney. And what makes Michael a really, really weird friend was that Michael was 100% made up. He was my imaginary friend. Straight up, yeah. 100%. He was so my imaginary friend that I went to the Disney store, which used to be in the mall, and I got lost one time at the Disney store, and it was like horrible. But anyway, so my mom finally found me, and I was just in the Disney store. And what ended up happening was, what parents sometimes do, and you probably have this, like when they feel like they really mess up, you get this opportunity to buy something, probably. So yeah, my mom really she was like, let's just whatever you want, And it was a great moment to capitalize on an unfortunate situation. And so I was at the Disney store, and I think I bought like a Goofy thing or something, like a Goofy figurine or something. And Michael also got. Yeah, no, seriously, this is how imaginary of a friend I would talk to Michael. He'd be right here. Like, we'd be hanging out, and he'd be right here. And I'd probably look like an insane little child. But this was my legit best friend for a good, year. Michael. We'd talk. If I got something, Michael would have to get something. And my parents were so nice. They would play along with, that they would like, yeah. I mean, I didn't always get Michael something, but it was, so that Michael would get something as well. And so we're in a series called Real Friends. The series is called literally Real Friends. And I kid you not, that I had this imaginary friend named Michael. And I continued to kind of wrestle with friendships and different things. But so I had this friend Michael, and it was really great because Michael just would say yes to everything I wanted to do. Michael would listen anytime I wanted to talk. Michael liked the exact same things I liked. Like it was like legitimately like the best friend anyone could ever have. But as we jump into this series, and as we jump into what I want to talk about this morning, about actually being a real friend and creating real relationships and friendships with people, is that the only way that I was able to have a friend that would do whatever I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to do it, all that kind of stuff, was because it was fake. It wasn't real. And what we're going to jump into, and we see all throughout the Bible, and what I actually did was, when I started to think, when I was thinking through this series, I actually asked a handful of people, from like adults to your age and even younger, and the resounding gong that kept coming up when I said, hey, I'm going to be doing a series on real friends and friendship and friends, and I love all that. I love friendship. I love that word. I say it way too much, all that stuff. The resounding gong that people kept saying was, the best friendships that I have are the friendships where I set aside like at all times, like not at all times, but a lot of time, where I set aside my own desires and I like serve that person. Those are the most tight, legitimate friendships I have. The ones where I actually kind of, if they want to do something, I'll typically, yeah, let's do that. Like I just want to be around them, with them, but I don't necessarily always need to get my own way. And it just got me thinking, if we want to be real friends, we need to live out that service model. And then it also got me thinking, man, that is 100% what Jesus did and what Jesus calls us to do. Is to, yes, love ourselves, but love others. That's the whole point. And so that looks like serving other people. That looks like setting aside our desires for other people. And so if you have a Bible, open it up to John 15. We're going to be in John 15. If you have a Bible, open it up later. So if you have a Bible, open it up. If you don't have a Bible, you can turn on a phone. I will be getting Bibles in the back as well shortly, but open up to John 15. And so as we open up to John 15, I started to look the word friend. I think all of us know what a friend is. We all have one friend. Some of us have more, some of us have less, just depending on our personality and things like that. But the word friend actually pops up in the Bible 170 times, in at least the NIV translation, which is kind of crazy, right? Like 170 times. 99 in the Old Testament, 71 in the New Testament. And thanks to my friend Gerald, who's one of our leaders, I have a concordance on the way. But also Gerald and I were talking about this concept of friend, and he's like, John 15. He like remembered, and so I started looking at John 15. And as we jump into this series, and as we jump into being a good friend and knowing that we need friends, I wanted to turn to Jesus and hear what he has to say in this interesting section in John 15. So John 15 is the vine and the branches, and it starts in verse 1 with, I am the true vine, my Father is the gardener. And then it continues to talk about remaining in the vine, remaining in him, remaining in Jesus. And then what happens is it moves forward here. And it continues to go. And so in verse 15, this is where I kind of want us to sit for a minute. In verse 15, it goes, I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends. For everything that I learned from my Father, I have made known to you. I'm going to read it one more time, verse 15. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends. For everything I learned from my Father, I have made known to you. And so it got me thinking. And I really think this is the beautiful thing about what Jesus is doing and what Jesus continually invites us into. He invites us into being known and to knowing him. And what he's saying right here is, I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I've called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father I've made known to you. Essentially what he's saying is, I'm teaching you everything you need to know. If you open up this book and if you walk through it, I have come to make the Father, myself, known to you. And so not only do now you have the ability to know me, I created you, I'm the creator of all things, that's also how you begin to know yourself. And just like we kind of had, for fun, we had people stand up here and play a game and different things, but can we probably all agree at some level that if you have a good friend, if you truly have a great friend, that friend, the reason why you're probably comfortable with them, the reason why you probably call them your friend and you want to hang out with them at some level is because they know you. Like they know the real you, or at least as much as you've allowed them to know. Like they know where maybe you've made a mistake. They know your favorite color. They know the things you like. They know the jokes you'll laugh at. And vice versa. So being known and made known. Made known. And so I was just kind of pondering, I was actually at Bird Rock Coffee in Carlsbad yesterday, and I'm kind of working through things, and it was just so funny because here I am working on a message about friends and about being known by people, community of believers potentially, and kind of what we here at church are doing is really creating a community. We're creating a community where on Wednesday nights we're going to be sitting in small groups, which we're calling table groups, but where we're all kind of around a table, this concept of doing life together, of being together and communing together, going through things together. And here I am at Bird Rock Coffee in Carlsbad, which isn't really close to here. It's North County, but it's not close to here. And I do that from time to time. I try to visit various coffee shops when I prep or when I do different things because I just like a change of scenery for creativity, get the creative juices flowing, whatever you want to call it. I absolutely love coffee. Can't really go without it, and just love it so much. And I don't want to be that creeper at a coffee shop that is just always there bumming Wi-Fi in the bathroom. So I visit different coffee shops. I have a rotation. So I'm like getting in and I'm working on this sermon, and all of a sudden and I'm wearing a hat. I'm like not, I'm just kind of doing my thing and trying to focus, which isn't my strength, but I'm trying to focus. And I look up, and all of a sudden, Nate, who's sitting in the back, our campus pastor, there he is. All of a sudden, I look over, and here's Nate, also in a hat, and I'm like, that's Nate. Like, no way. Like, Nate doesn't live here, I don't think. Like, I think he's in Encinitas. So all of a sudden, Nate pops up. And then we hang out for a minute and talk, and then he's going, and then his whole family gets there, and then the founding pastor of the church is there, and then my dad comes, and then my brother comes. And my brother and dad was kind of a plan. We're texting, so that's not as cool, Holy Spirit, or anything like that. But what the crazy thing was is here I am prepping this message, and all of a sudden just friends, community just starts popping up. And I could have easily just put on the blinders or tried to hung out with Nate for a minute and then been really gotta focus, so I gotta then move to a coffee shop or not text my brother or my dad back. And just kind of go away and try to keep focusing. But then as I was just enjoying the authentic reality of man, God puts people in our lives. And I truly believe that God puts people in our lives for different reasons and in different seasons. Yes, that rhymed. I'm feeling good. But even in the small kind of coffee shop thing, was this reality, this concept of can I tell you that I don't always love to see people in public because sometimes I get scared or sometimes I'm just drained or whatever. But most of the time it's this exhilarating how cool is this? I'm in a different place and then I see people I know and it kind of just makes that place feel a lot more homey. It makes it feel a lot more comfortable. And so as I was working through this message and as I was thinking about this whole topic, it's like here it is kind of in life form. And so what I want us to look at, and I kind of want to give us like how to, because it's a real practical application, because ultimately I want us in this Rise Youth Group, if we can't create an environment of friendship, which sounds silly, but if we can't create an environment of friendship or friendly atmosphere where, man, I walk through those doors and I'm completely brand new, maybe I just moved into this town, or maybe I just transferred schools, or switching, whatever it might be, or I don't even know anything about Jesus, but church just feels like the place to go, and that person walks through this room, and we can't create what a loving your neighbor really looks like, or that home away from home, or some type of comfortable environment, because we can't offer a hand in friendship, you guys, we're missing the whole point. Like, I want the people that you're sitting next to be your friends. And the beautiful thing is, like, you do come from different backgrounds, you might have different interests, you might have different hobbies, you're going to look different, you're going to like different things, but, like, the beautiful thing is you all have this unifying thing of, A, trying to know who Jesus is, believe in him, and then walk according to his plan for your life. Like, we can rally around that. Like, all of us can rally around the fact that God created all of us, and he loves all of us tremendously. And so anyone that walks through that door can be your friend. You can extend a loving hand to. The whole "what would Jesus do" bracelets are funny, but and sometimes they're a little overused, but they're amazing because, like, I always think, I try my best with my personality to be like, man, if I was new or if I was someone different and walking through and I haven't been here and it's like a scary place and, man, the worship and it's just a lot going on, I don't know, like, what would Jesus do in that moment? I think he would say, hey, I'm Caden. He wouldn't, he'd say I'm Jesus, but like, hey, I'm Caden. What's your name? How you doing? Where are you from? Hey, come hang out with me and my friends. Come be one of my friends. And so, how to, like, the practicality of just putting yourself in someone else's shoes and ultimately be the friend that you want to have. You guys, I think so often we make everything so much more difficult than it needs to be in life. I think we create all these, to be quite honest, I think in a lot of areas of life we create all these things and to-do lists, and honestly just to sound like we have a lot going on and to, like, boost our own egos because we did this and that. Can I tell you that if you just took the simple principle of treating other people how you would want to be treated, doing your very best to put yourself and give yourself the perspective of being in someone else's shoes, whatever scenario you're in, like, doing that in and of itself is going to exemplify and portray the love of Jesus to so many people. Can we be a youth group that has empathy, that has emotional, like, understanding of where people are at, and then leaning into that? Because that's how great friendships are born, that's how great youth groups are born, that's how people come to know Jesus. Because all of a sudden they come to this place that, man, everyone's different, but I kind of feel like I could belong here. And then through that belonging, oftentimes people go, man, I want to be a part of that. And then what that stands for, and in this case, that stand for is the name of Jesus. And so can we be the friend and the people that treat people the way we would want to be treated, and be the friend to other people that you would want to have? I mean, that's one of my simple applications. And so I had to just kind of tell you about one of those friends in my life. His name's Tyler, which is great. It's a generic name, but his name's Tyler. And I remember the first time I met Tyler was in junior high, or middle school, depending on what everyone calls it. And Tyler was different, like, he was different than me. He liked things that I didn't like he built computers, and I, at the time, like, I didn't know how to do any of that, and I was kind of just like, I could run around and play sports, and thing, and he was like more of a computer guy. And he just had like we were just like polar opposites. Like, I don't need to go into detail. You know yourself, you know when you meet someone who's just like opposite of you or just very different than you. And Tyler was that guy for me. And I remember it was kind of a similar talk, like my junior high pastor kind of just encouraged us at that time that like an application piece was, hey, whoever like is on your campus or whoever you feel God might be putting on your heart to reach out to at lunch, who maybe sits by themselves, this, and that. He kind of put that challenge, and so I remember that, and I just always remember Tyler sitting alone, and we had those clanky metal tables, and he just always sat alone, and I remember I really believe this is kind of how the power of the Holy Spirit really works. So if you're ever like, I really, in my life, I've seen it be like, I heard that was in my mind, and then I like remember being at lunch, and it was a couple days later, I remember being at lunch and just kind of feeling like I saw Tyler, and I would see him every day, but like I saw Tyler in a way where it was like, yeah, I like really felt like impelled, inclined to invite him to just sit with me and my friends. And this time, I don't always do this, but this time specifically, I leaned into that nudging and I walked over and I said, hi, I'm Caden. I even probably said like, I know, sorry, if this is weird and you can just tell me to go, I did one of those. And he's like, no, dude, he's like, and I was like, you want to come just hang out with my friends and I at our lunch table? Like, he's like, yeah, I would love that. And so right then and there, you're just like, oh my gosh, like, now we got to talk, and it's like, I thought maybe it's just going to reject me and I can go home, and whatever. But now and so here it goes. And so I bring him over to our lunch table, we sit down, and if I'm being honest, it was a little awkward. It was, because we just didn't have a lot of similarities. But then all of a sudden, now Tyler began sitting with us. And then all of a sudden, we're hanging out after school. And then all of a sudden, honestly, I'm building a computer, which I never thought I would do. But I built a computer with Tyler. And then all of a sudden, Tyler is snowboarding with me. And all of a sudden, this kid is my very best friend. No, he's real. That was good, though. That was good. You got me. Dang it. Made it all up. No, and so that became my very best friend throughout high school. And we've had our moments where we didn't hang out as much because he still didn't necessarily play all the sports I played. But you guys, to this day, that is one of my best friends who now lives in Oakland. He works at Pandora, and he's one of my very best friends. And he's still, and maybe even now more so, just so different than me. But I really think that that's what we're called to. I really think that that's what God calls us to do. Like, you don't know who your best friend's going to be yet. You don't know what God might do when you reach out and ask someone to sit with you at the lunch table or hang out with your friends or try a new hobby with someone. And to this day, I'm so thankful, like Tyler's thanked me multiple times, and he doesn't need to, for just including him because he was in a really dark, sad place. Alone at a lunch table. And literally it was as easy and a little scary as just walking over and inviting him to join me. And then God did this amazing work of we became best friends, and we're still best friends, and we talk like every single week at least. And maybe one day I'll bring him in here, and he's got long hair, and he's just so different than me. Like, he's so different, and I just love him to death. But I say that story and I challenge us because I really believe that God, there's someone even probably in your mind right now that you're thinking of that the Holy Spirit's putting on your heart that you should probably go say hi to. Or that you should try doing something with them. Try their hobby, try their activity. Get outside your own comfort zone. You don't know what God's going to do with that. There are people in this room. You might not be sitting right next to them, but they're like diagonal, or you're in the corner, and that might need, you don't know. And the beautiful thing is, per your point, Tyler's a real friend. Not like my imaginary friend Michael, who I made up. I don't know how imaginary friends work, but he can't know Jesus. He's not real. And so, my challenge for us is to take a step this week. If you think or know of someone, extend a hand. And if it's not someone that's maybe popping up in your head of new, try being a better friend to the friends that you already have. Simple ways to be a better friend. Send them a text and go, I'm so thankful you're my friend. Buy them something, buy them a coffee, buy them flowers, whatever they might like. Just like, hey, I'm just stoked you're my friend. Share something with them that's real going on in your life. That grows friendships. And lastly, we're gonna sing one more song. And this song is actually really near and dear to my heart because a lot of you have heard my story, but I grew up in a very rigid, tight, religious home kind of environment where it was all about the checklist, all about the do's and don'ts. And trust me, we need to have a healthy fear of who God is, and we need to have a healthy understanding and a respect for the Creator Almighty. But Christ also wants to be the best friend to you. He wants to know every part of you. He wants you to communicate with Him. He wants to know, He knows everything about you, but He wants, by you releasing a lot and communicating to Him about who you are and letting Him know you more, you will begin to know Him more, and He just wants you to be known and for you to know Him. And this song is called Simple Gospel, and even in the beginning it talks about Jesus, I want to know you, Lord, like I know a friend. And I know for me, it shifted my perspective just a little bit because I was so afraid of God that I felt like I had to wash myself clean and put on my Sunday best just to go to church. But God wants to be with me every single day. He wants to be with you every single day. He wants to be your companion, the person you turn to when you're struggling, the person you turn to when you're excited. And I think this song does a really great job of expressing that. So maybe a few of you will know it, maybe you won't, but just kind of let the words soak in and realize that this walk, this life is about relationship. Knowing Jesus is about a relationship, not about a to-do list. And so just let these words sink in, sing along, and realize that, man, you have access to God, and He loves you and wants to be your friend.